Okay, so the fight is on. Whyte versus Chisora is on. Eddie Hearn talked to Coop and Cassius. Did an interview over on IFL. You can go check it out. And Dereck Chisora has been handed a 2-year suspension by the British Boxing Board of Control, which means basically he better make as much money as he can off his fight. But at the same time, it's already in the contract, so I wonder what he's going to do for work. He did say during the press conference when he was talking that shit and he walked up on Adam Smith that, you know, he can get the British Boxing Board of Control license back. And one day he did it before for the David Haye fight. Oh, yeah, bro? Let's see that. Let's see that. Because it's like, for one, he did, I was saying during my live stream last night, is that he did way too much talking. Talking about, you know, he was just talking this shit about basically saying that, you know, the British Boxing Board of Control, they can do whatever they want. I'm just going to get my way anyway. So 2 years, that's tough, you know? And then there's been questions, you know, Dillian Whyte brought it up, and I went to do a little research, and really, how old is Dereck Chisora? I look and say he's 32, I'm 33. He did say he was 45 yesterday, but was he joking? And then you see his promoter, Kali Sarlin, just sitting there like, you know, how old is Dereck Chisora? Is that legal? Can you do that? Can you lie? I want to see the I want to see the records. I want to see the records. He's supposed to be 32 years old. I know I look a little older, but I don't look like I'm 45. You know? So anyway, the fight is on. You know what they should do? Both of them should come out to just the most hardcore music you could possibly ever come out to. I'm talking about they got to milk this. They got to milk it. So at the weigh-in, you know, after whoever weighs in, whether it's Scott Quick, or whether it's you know, Caleb Smith, but then they should they should dim the lights, you know, and then bring in like this cage, you know, for the fighters, you know, 2 cages, put the fighters in the cages, one come out the weigh-in and one go back to the cage. You know, they gotta get dramatic with it. Then in the ring, come out to some hardcore, you know, death metal, you know, or the Mortal Kombat theme. Then in the ring, like they should do for the Mike Tyson fights, have like the security holding arm in arm, keeping both fighters back. Get dramatic with it. Because truth be told, this has become the fight of the week. There was little speculations and rumors going around that the fight was going to be pulled from the card, and that they were going to that fans were speculating that they were going to, oh well, since this fight has so much buzz, they're going to save it for later on to make more money. It's like, I'm glad they didn't do that. So the fight is on. After this, Dereck Chisora's going away for a little while, and it's crazy because if he wins, it's like, well, you know, now you can't ride that momentum. So the whole build-up has been crazy. You know, just to say some things to you, just to round up things a little bit. Dereck Chisora said at the first press conference that he wasn't going to feed into all the antics because he wasn't making no TV money. Then lo and behold, that same day or like a day later, he just snaps out at the gloves are off. And he calls Dillian Whyte a donkey. Then he calls him a goat. Not the greatest of all time, but he says, you're a goat. And then you could tell the way he said it and the emotion that he was about to snap. So he takes the water, throw it in Dillian Whyte's face. Then, you know, they start to tussle. Then Johnny Nelson, Sky Sports Johnny Nelson, in these tight-ass pants and his tight-ass shirt is panicking, screaming at the top of his lungs. You know, they tossing him on the ground. You hear, Dillian Whyte say, stop biting me, cunt. Stop biting me, cunt. Then screaming, let me go, you cunts, let me go, you cunts. And we find out that Dereck Chisora bites Dillian Whyte on the chest. I'm speculating that, well, if you bite him on the chest, did you bite him on the fatty tissue? You know, you mean you bit that man on the titty. You bit that man on his breast, bro. You know, then at the press conference, Dillian Whyte's trainer, you know, who just so happens, Jimmy Tibbs, just so happens is like some street legend over there in the UK. He's snapping on Dereck Chisora. He calls him a minge. If you don't know what a minge is, it's an old timey word for vagina, for poontang, you know? So basically, it's an old timey word. So when I think of minge, I think of some old saggy, hairy vagina. That's what he called Dereck Chisora. Then Dereck Chisora started getting pissed off because basically Dillian Whyte did say, you know, I would have killed you, and that's a death threat. So fast forward, you get Dereck Chisora, who just starts banging his fucking hand on the table, picks up this table that was connected to all this shit, and tries to throw it at Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte flinches a little bit. He smiles. He goes, Then in the meantime, you see Dillian Whyte trainer, damn near great, take the whole edge of the table because you got Eddie Hearn who's tall. You got poor old Adam Smith who's been through way too much over the last couple of weeks. He in the middle, like, what the fuck is going on around here? And then you got Dereck Chisora just storming off, getting gripped up by security. He had the Sun 1 security tell the security dude, keep your hands off me. Then he starts going after Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn hide behind the security dude and saying, what you talking about? What you talking about? Acting like he don't know what the fuck is going on after he was just in that shit last week going at it with David Hay. Then you have Dereck Chisora who walks up on Adam Smith. Adam Smith takes his stance like he ready to do some karate or some shit. He does like this. He does this whole thing. Like, one arm is in back of him like he getting ready in his stance. And he like, okay, calm down, Dereck. Think of your career. He's got that smooth, calming voice. That voice of reason. So I'm still trying to process what all that shit was. I'm still trying to process it all. What the fuck just happened? So that's why I say for a fight like this, somebody is going to get things. Somebody's going to get fucked up. I just hope that it doesn't go 12. I just hope that they don't, start hugging each other and everything because Dillian Whyte at one point in time swore on his kids. You should never do that unless you're going to follow up on what you're saying. You shouldn't do that in general. But he basically told Dereck Chisora, like, even after the fight, I'm going to attack you. So he's telling him, everywhere I see you, it's on site. Everywhere I see you, it's beef. Whether I'm out with my chick, I'm at the grocery store getting some milk and eggs early on a Saturday morning, and I'm dropping that shit. We got to throw these hands. That's what he's saying. So that's one of the main reasons why Dereck Chisora snapped out. Because it's like, not only are you basically saying you would have killed me, or Dereck Chisora assumed or took it as he's saying he's going to kill him, and then you telling me whenever you see me, we at war, we going to war in the streets. So I don't like I can understand Dereck Chisora's point, but I don't like how he went to Adam Smith in front of all the cameras talking all that shit because it's kind of like you dry snitching a little bit. If you're going to do something, then do it. You keep talking about like, he threatened my life. You think that's cool, threatening my life? That's like, yo, you want the cops to hear you, bro? You want the cops to hear you? Is that what you're trying to accomplish? Because that's what it looks like to me, is that you're trying to tell. You're trying to get some officer to come up to you and say, what happened? He threatened your life, who? Come on. It's just certain, you can sense, you can see how when people be doing fake, shit like that. It's like, you don't say that type of shit. You don't keep saying he threatened my life. You'll say it one time like, oh, shit, you threatened my life, huh? And then you don't keep screaming that shit out. It's just, but anyway, let me just keep it media here. I'm excited for the fight. I'm excited for the weekend. A lot of crazy fights that's going on this weekend. A lot of big fights. A lot of fights in general. Adam Maris versus Jesus Cuellar. Jamal Charlo versus Julian Williams. You got Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz. You got Terrence Crawford. John Molina, Scott Quigg returns. You got Caleb Smith versus Luke Blackledge. You got Conor Ben. Who else? I'm missing a whole bunch of fights. You got Alida Alvarez. You got David Peralta. You have a lot of fights this weekend. So I've been preparing. And TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. All the links to my social media are right down below in the description box. I need some help. Whether you're located anywhere in the world, email me at editor, that's EDITOR, at FightView360.com, and we just need correspondence to help cover fights. So if you're a passionate boxing fan and you want to be right there with the boxers and you don't get starstruck and you're going to work, this is not a game. This is not a game. You are going to these fights, if you meet the cut, you're going to these fights to work. I have a website launching on Christmas Day. It's a very innovative website, and it's going to be, people are waiting for it, and they don't know what to expect, but it's going to be way better than you ever thought it was going to be. Put a lot of time and put a lot of money into this. So we are now officially, well, once the website is launched, we'll be officially a media company. All right? We're just going to let our work speak for itself. So if you want to help out in any way, shape, or capacity, whether you want to help on social media, whether you want to go to a fight every week, or whether you want to go to a fight once a year, email me at editor at FightView360.com. And, of course, there's an interview process. And, of course, there's an application type process because we got to do everything as thoroughly as possible. So even though you see me on here, I'm a free spirit. I get to be myself. I record. I cover the news in my own, comedic, be myself fashion. But when it comes to that website, it's strictly business. All right? It's business. So here I'm TstreeT. It comes to the website and it's relevant. There's no better way to put it than that. So, stomach's growling. TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.